Breaking news. A heated clash that no one saw coming. Greta Thunberg takes the stage, but this time she's not facing cheering crowds. She's up against one of the sharpest minds of our time, Jordan Peterson. Tension explodes as arguments collide, and the outcome, absolutely shocking. Stay tuned, because this is one debate you don't want to miss. Late at night, the tension inside the television studio kept building. World-famous climate activist Greta Thunberg stepped confidently onto the stage, ready to face the glaring spotlights and answer the pressing questions ahead. But this time, she wasn't up against sympathetic journalists, political leaders, or media figures who usually treated her with kid gloves. Sitting across from her was Jordan Peterson, renowned for his intellectual debates, sharp rhetoric, and unflinching demeanor. Even before the show began, the atmosphere backstage was electric. Greta clutched her notes, thinking deeply, while Peterson leaned back calmly, scanning the audience with piercing eyes. The crowd could feel it. This wasn't going to be just another debate. This was about to be a collision of ideas, ideologies, and raw truth. As the program began, the moderator introduced both figures and immediately directed the conversation toward the central issue: the climate crisis, scientific realities, and their impact on society. Greta, as always, launched into her remarks with passion. Her words carried fire, her tone sharp and emotional. The science is clear. Our planet is dying, leaders are doing nothing, and they are stealing the future of young people like us. This is not a debate anymore. This is an emergency. Her words echoed across the studio, sparking applause from sections of the audience. But then Peterson, with a faint, almost mocking smile, took the microphone. His calm yet piercing voice cut through the applause. Greta, most of what you're saying is driven by emotion. You keep invoking science, but you're turning it into propaganda, fear-mongering, panic. These are not real solutions. This is a form of delusional thinking. The studio fell silent. Even the moderator looked taken aback. Greta's eyes widened, her face flashing a mixture of anger and shock. From that moment, Peterson seized control of the debate. He admitted that climate change was real, but dismantled Greta's simplistic narrative, arguing that she distorted science and polarized society. He gave concrete examples that climate has always changed throughout history, even long before the industrial age, that politicians often exploit climate fears to push their own agendas, that feeding young people with apocalypse messages instead of hope is deeply damaging, and most importantly, that complex economic, technological, and social issues cannot be solved by a single slogan. Some in the audience began nodding in agreement, murmuring their support. Greta, meanwhile, pushed back, her voice rising with desperation. You don't understand. If we don't act now, millions will die, famines will spread, floods and wildfires will destroy our lives. I am telling the truth. Peterson, however, didn't flinch. He leaned forward, his tone firm and commanding. No, Greta, what you're spreading are doomsday scenarios. You're talking about fear, not solutions. You ignore scientific uncertainty. You dismiss economic and social realities. What you're pushing isn't science, it's ideology, and it is harming society. As the debate unfolded, the studio atmosphere grew heavier. Some applauded Greta's passion, but more and more people seemed swayed by Peterson's steady, evidence-driven reasoning. At one point, Peterson fired a devastating question directly at Greta. Tell me this, Greta, if your policies are enforced, what happens to the millions living in poor countries who rely on affordable energy to survive? When you tell them no coal, no oil, how will you explain their starvation? Greta's face flushed, her words tangled in her throat. For a brief, painful moment, she was speechless. The silence was deafening, and then Peterson delivered the knockout line. This is delusion, Greta, a fantasy cut off from reality. Within hours, the internet erupted. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and major news outlets were ablaze with clips and headlines about the clash. Hashtags trended worldwide. Ipod Peterson vs. Greta, delusional Greta, climate debate. Peterson's supporters praised his logic and composure, while Greta's defenders applauded her courage and conviction. But the overwhelming consensus was clear. Peterson dominated the exchange. Commentators labeled it the toughest moment of Greta's career, while others declared Peterson hit her with brutal reality. Television networks replayed the debate non-stop, and clips racked up millions of views on YouTube. Days after the showdown, Greta's unusual silence became a story in itself. Known for firing back at critics, she offered no response this time. Peterson, on the other hand, spoke openly in interviews about the debate. My goal wasn't to humiliate Greta, but it is dangerous when emotional rhetoric overshadows reality. People deserve the truth, even when the truth is difficult. His remarks only bolstered his reputation. Book sales spiked, university speaking requests surged, and his online following exploded. Greta, however, faced an image crisis. Many of her supporters, who had always seen her as an untouchable force, now had to confront the fact that she could be challenged, and even defeated by someone armed with reason and facts. This wasn't just a television program, it was a symbolic battle of worldviews. On one side, a young activist rallying emotions to inspire action. On the other, a seasoned intellectual dismantling fear-driven narratives with evidence and critical thinking. By the end of that night, one truth was unavoidable. Greta Thunberg had suffered one of the most crushing defeats of her career at the hands of Jordan Peterson. And that's how tonight's fiery debate ended, with Greta Thunberg visibly shaken and Jordan Peterson standing firm. But remember, this story is not real. What you just watched is a fictional scenario created only for entertainment. None of these events actually happened. Our channel creates dramatic fake stories based on public figures, meant only for online discussions. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more intense showdowns.